Hey, everybody, and welcome to another deep dive with me, your host. We're going to be diving deep into something that I know a lot of you guys have asked about, and that is how to think in English.
Hi, everyone.
So I'm very excited to have an expert in language learning here today to help us break this down.
It's great to be here.
And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're finding this helpful, because we've got tons more language learning tips coming your way.
Yeah.
All right, so thinking in English,
Right.
it can sound a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, it can be a little scary.
So what makes it so important when you're learning a new language? Why do we even need to think in English?
So when you translate in your head, it takes a lot of time.
Right.
It's like you're driving with the brakes on. You know what I mean? It's like you want to go fast, but you can't.
Yeah, you're always stopping.
Right. So thinking in English helps you speak more naturally and more quickly because you're not stopping to translate everything.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It's like when you're learning to drive a car for the first time, everything feels really jerky
Yeah.
until you kind of get used to it. But how do you even start doing that? Like, how do you start thinking in English, especially if you're a beginner?
Well, you know, one thing that really helped me when I was learning a new language was to start small.
Okay.
Like, think about simple things you do every day.
Okay.
So, like, when you see a cup of coffee in the morning, you can think to yourself, this is a cup of coffee in English.
Oh, so you're not thinking the word for a cup of coffee in your native language. You're forcing yourself to think the English words.
Yes, exactly. And it'll feel strange at first, but it starts to become more natural the more you do it.
Right. So it's like building a new mental muscle.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm walking down the street, I see a dog, and I think, that's a cute dog in English,
Yeah.
even if it feels a little weird at first.
That's perfect.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be perfect grammar or anything.
Yeah.
Just get those English words flowing in your head is a huge step.
Yeah.
You can even narrate your whole day in your head like, I am brushing my teeth now.
Oh, I love that. So it's like you're giving yourself a running commentary on your life in English.
Yes,
I think that's something that anybody can try no matter what level you're at.
absolutely.
Um, what about something a little more challenging? What are some other ways to get those English thoughts flowing?
You can label things around your house with English sticky notes.
Oh, so like on my fridge, I put a sticky note that says refrigerator, and on my lamp, I put lamp.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It sounds simple, but it really helps you connect the English word with the object in your everyday life. And it's a constant visual reminder to think in English. I actually did this when I was learning Spanish, and it was kind of funny. My whole apartment was covered in sticky notes.
I bet your family loved that.
I think that was a little crazy.
So it's like you're turning your home into a giant English vocabulary game.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of games, there's another fun mental exercise you can try. Have a conversation with yourself in English, of course.
Wait, you mean like talking to myself in my head when people think I'm crazy?
Well, maybe don't do it out loud on the bus or the train.
Okay.
But having a silent conversation with yourself in English is a great way to practice thinking and forming sentences naturally. Like, for example, if you're deciding what to wear, you could think, should I wear the blue shirt or the red shirt today? The blue shirt looks better with these pants.
Okay, so that's such a good tip. Because sometimes I think we get so caught up in needing a speaking partner to practice.
Yes.
But this is something you can do literally anytime, anywhere. It's like you have a built-in English tutor in your brain.
Exactly. It's all about getting comfortable with using English in your own mind, even if it's just little conversations with yourself. And you know what? Don't worry about making mistakes.
Yeah.
The goal here is not perfect grammar. It's about getting those mental gears turning in English.
So we've got the sticky notes.
Yeah.
We've got the self-talk. What other tricks do you have up your sleeve for thinking in English?
Listening to English is key.
Okay, but we're talking about thinking in English. So how does listening help with that?
Well, think about it this way. When you immerse yourself in English by listening to music or podcasts or movies, you're exposing your brain to the natural rhythms and patterns of the language.
Okay, so it's like soaking your brain in English.
Exactly.
But how do you make that active so it translates into thinking?
Great question. The key here is to go beyond passive listening. When you hear a phrase, you try to repeat it out loud. Pay attention to the way the speaker pronounces the words.
So if I'm listening to a song and I hear a cool phrase, I should pause it and try to say it myself.
Yes.
Uh,
And you can even take it a step further with something called shadowing.
okay.
So basically, you try to speak along with the recording, mimicking the speaker's intonation and rhythm.
Shadowing. I love that. It's like you're becoming the speaker's shadow, mirroring their every word.
Exactly.
That sounds challenging, but super effective.
It is challenging, but what's so fascinating about shadowing is that it forces you to process the language at a much deeper level. You're not just hearing the sounds, you're actively trying to reproduce them, which helps solidify those connections in your brain.
Oh, that's so cool. It's like you're training your brain to think and speak in English simultaneously.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from labeling things to inner dialogues to shadowing. But I'm curious, what about actually speaking out loud? That can be really intimidating for beginners.
Absolutely. You're right. Speaking can be nerve-wracking, especially when you're first starting out. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be a big, scary thing. Start small. Practice simple greetings like good morning or how are you? Or ask yourself simple questions out loud like, what's my name? My name is. It might feel silly, but it gets your mouth used to forming those English sounds.
So even if you don't have someone to practice with, you can still get those speaking muscles working just by talking to yourself.
Exactly. And if you do have a language partner, even better. But even if you're on your own, you can start building that confidence by speaking out loud, even if it's just to yourself.
This has been so insightful already. We've learned so much about how to start thinking in English, even for beginners. Before we move on, do you want to do a quick review of some of the key vocabulary that we've covered so far?
Sure. So we talked about translating, which means taking a word or phrase from one language and changing it into another. When you think in English, you're skipping that translation step altogether.
Right. And we discussed the idea of immersion, which is surrounding yourself with the English language as much as possible through listening to music, watching movies, even labeling things around your house.
We also covered inner dialogue, which is the act of having conversations with yourself in your head, in English, of course.
Yeah.
And we learned about shadowing, which is mimicking a native speaker's speech patterns and pronunciation.
Awesome recap. This is all such great advice. What would you say is the most important thing for listeners to remember as they start practicing thinking in English?
Well, the most important thing is to be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress. You know, it takes time and effort to rewire your brain to think in a new language.
Such great advice. We're going to dive into even more helpful tips after a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's like learning any new skill. It takes time. It takes practice. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results overnight. Just keep practicing and you will get there.
Yeah, I think that's such a key point. We live in a world of instant gratification, but learning a language, it really is a journey, not a race. It's about enjoying the process and celebrating those little wins along the way. Speaking of wins, do you have any stories about how thinking in English has actually helped you or your students in real life?
Oh, absolutely. I had a student who was really struggling with speaking fluently. She understood grammar, you know, had a decent vocabulary, but she just couldn't seem to get the words out in conversation. We started working on thinking in English, and it was like a light bulb went off for her. She told me that once she stopped translating in her head, she felt so much more confident and relaxed when speaking. She even started dreaming in English.
Wow, dreaming in English.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate sign of immersion.
I know.
It's amazing how powerful this technique can be. You know, it's not just about memorizing words. It's about changing the way you process language on like a fundamental level.
Exactly. It's like you're rewiring your brain to think in a new way. And it's not just about speaking either.
Right.
Thinking in English can also help you improve your reading and writing skills.
Oh, okay.
When you can think in the language, you can understand written text more easily and you can express yourself more clearly in writing.
That makes sense. It's like all the skills are connected.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with any aspect of English speaking, listening, reading, writing, it's like working on thinking in English can kind of have this ripple effect
Yes,
and
definitely.
improve all those areas.
Yeah.
I'm curious, What about those times when you get stuck? So you're thinking in English, but you just can't find the right word. What
Right.
do you do?
Oh, that happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Even native speakers have those tip of the tongue moments.
Right.
The key is to not let it derail you. Don't switch back to your native language. Instead, try to describe the word you're looking for using other English words.
Oh, so if I'm trying to say, I need that thing you use to open a bottle, I could say, I need a tool with a spiral shape that removes the cap.
Exactly. It might sound a little awkward at first,
Yeah.
but it keeps you thinking in English and it forces you to be more creative with your
I
language.
love that. It's like a mental workout for your English skills.
Yes, and over time, you'll find that you need to do that less and less. As you continue to think in English, the words will come to you more naturally.
This is also encouraging. It feels like thinking in English is something that anyone can achieve with the right mindset and practice.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress and enjoying the process.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to make mistakes, to laugh at yourself, and to experiment with different techniques. Find what works best for you and stick with it.
I think that's such an important message. Sometimes we get so caught up in the right way to learn a language that we forget to have fun with it.
Yeah,
Learning English should be an adventure, not a chore.
exactly. And the more you enjoy the process, the more likely you are to stick with it and achieve your goals.
Hmm. Speaking of goals, we talked about some great techniques earlier, labeling things, inner dialogue, shadowing. Are
Yeah.
there any other strategies that you recommend for making thinking in English a regular habit?
One thing that I find really helpful is to incorporate English into your daily routine. Like, for example, you can start your day by reading a short English news article or listening to an English podcast while you get ready.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's like starting your day with a little dose of English immersion.
Exactly. And you can also try to incorporate English into your hobbies. Like if you love cooking, try following an English recipe, or if you enjoy watching movies, challenge yourself to watch one with English subtitles.
So it's all about finding those little opportunities to expose yourself to the language throughout the day.
Absolutely. And you know what else can be really helpful? Keep a journal in English.
Oh, that's a great idea. I
Mm.
used to do that when I was learning Spanish, and it really helped me to improve my writing skills and to solidify my vocabulary.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just jot down your thoughts, your feelings, or even just a summary of your day. It's a great way to practice expressing yourself in English and to track your progress over time.
I think that's a perfect example of how learning a language can be integrated into your life in a fun and meaningful way.
Absolutely.
It's not just about textbooks and grammar rules, it's about making the language a part of your everyday experience.
I completely agree. And the more you can do that, the more natural it will feel to think in English.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive into the world of thinking in English.
It has.
We've learned so much about the benefits, the challenges, and the practical strategies for making it happen. Before we wrap things up, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are ready to embark on this journey?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that it's all about building those small habits and finding ways to make English a natural part of your life. It's not about perfection, it's about progress and enjoying the process.
Absolutely. I think that's such a good point. It's not about being perfect. It's about getting better every day and actually having fun while you're doing it.
Right. And it's amazing what the brain can do. The more you expose yourself to English and make an effort to think in the language, the easier it becomes. It's like you're creating new pathways in your brain and making English more and more accessible.
Yeah, it really is like learning to ride a bike. At first, it feels all wobbly and awkward, but then with practice, it just becomes second nature, and then you can't imagine not being able to ride a bike.
Exactly. And just like riding a bike thinking in English can open up a whole new world of possibilities. You can connect with people from different cultures. You can explore new ideas. You can even advance your career.
So many benefits. It's really inspiring to think about. Okay, before we wrap up this awesome deep dive, let's do a quick review of some of the key vocabulary we've covered today. First up, we have fluency. Fluency basically means being able to speak or write a language easily and accurately.
And to achieve that fluency, we talked about eliminating the need for translation. Translation is the process of converting words or text from one language to another. But when you're thinking in English, you're bypassing that step altogether.
Exactly. And we talked about immersion, which is like surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible. This can be done through listening, reading, and even thinking in English.
We also explored the concept of inner dialogue, which is simply the act of talking to yourself in your head in English, of course.
Of course. And for those who want to really level up their speaking skills, we discussed shadowing. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a native English speaker and try to repeat what they're saying as closely as possible, mimicking their intonation and pronunciation.
And let's not forget the simple but effective practice of journaling. Journaling is a great way to practice writing and expressing your thoughts in English.
Awesome recap. Now, for our listeners who are ready to take action, what's one small step they can take today to start thinking in English?
I would say choose one simple phrase or sentence in English and make a conscious effort to incorporate it into your thoughts throughout the day.
I love that. It could be as simple as good morning when you wake up, or what a beautiful day when you step outside, or even I'm going to rock this English thing.
Exactly. It's about starting small and building from there. And
Yeah.
remember, every step you take, no matter how small it is a step closer to fluency.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into the world of thinking in English. We've learned so much about the benefits, the techniques, and even the importance of embracing those mistakes along the way. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe and like. It really helps more language lovers like you find the show.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure diving deep with you all today.
Until next time, happy learning, everyone. Hey, everyone. Welcome back for another deep dive with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying these episodes with us. Today, we're going to make learning English easier and more fun, especially if you're just starting out.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, we've gone through some really interesting resources for this deep dive, and we're excited to share everything we found with you guys.
Okay, so imagine this. You're watching your favorite movie, the one you know by heart, but it's in English.
Okay.
And you're singing along to a catchy pop song, and you know every single word.
Wow.
Think that sounds impossible right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. These are just some of the fun ways that you can actually pick up English without even realizing you're learning.
That's amazing.
It's true.
Wow. So how do we do that?
Wow.
How do we learn without realizing we're learning?
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's all about making English a natural part of your day.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. When you were a child, learning your first language,
Yeah.
you didn't crack open a textbook, right?
Oh,
You learned by listening, watching, and doing.
yeah.
And you can do the same thing with English.
So just kind of immerse yourself in it.
Exactly. So let's get into some specifics.
Okay.
One of the first things that really stood out to me in the research was the power of subtitles.
Oh,
You know those words that appear at the bottom of the screen when you're watching a movie or a TV show?
mm-hmm.
They can actually help you in a really cool way.
I love subtitles.
Me too.
Yeah.
So at first, they can help you understand what's happening if you don't catch all the spoken words.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Subtitles do way more than just translate.
Oh, really?
As you read along, you start to connect those written words with the sounds you're hearing.
Okay.
It's like a secret code to unlocking pronunciation.
Oh, that's a really cool way to put it.
Yeah, it's like a pronunciation cheat sheet.
Okay.
You start to notice how certain letters and combinations sound,
Huh?
and you can even pick up on the rhythm and intonation of spoken English.
Wow.
Plus, you'll be surprised how quickly you start recognizing common words and phrases
Right.
just from seeing them repeatedly in the subtitles.
Yeah, that repetition is so key.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like learning a new song.
Mm-hmm.
At first, you might stumble through the lyrics,
Yeah.
but after a few listens, you're singing along like a pro.
Right.
Same with English.
Oh, I like that.
So, speaking of singing along,
Okay.
let's talk about music.
Yes.
There's a reason why those catchy tunes get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Music is actually a really powerful tool for learning.
I totally agree. Music is fantastic
Yeah.
because it engages your brain on so many different levels. You're
Yeah.
listening to the sounds, you're focusing on the lyrics,
Hmm.
and oftentimes you're even moving to the beat.
Exactly.
And all of this helps create stronger memories and makes it easier to learn new words and phrases.
Plus, let's be honest,
Okay.
it's way more fun than memorizing vocabulary lists.
Yes.
So turn up your favorite English songs, sing along, even if you don't know all the words,
Mm-hmm.
and just enjoy the experience.
And don't worry about making mistakes.
Exactly.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it.
And here's a bonus tip for you.
Okay.
Pay attention to the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Look them up if you need to.
Yeah.
Try to understand their meaning
Uh-huh.
and notice how the words are used in different contexts.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, don't just passively listen to music.
Okay.
Really engage with it.
Yeah.
And hey, if you're feeling adventurous,
Yeah.
you could even try writing your own songs in English.
That's a fantastic idea.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a creative way to practice using the new words and grammar you're learning.
Definitely.
Okay, so you've got movies and music covered.
Okay.
But what about those times when you're not watching TV or listening to tunes?
Right.
How can you keep that English learning going?
Well, one of the simplest yet most effective techniques is actually something you can do anytime,
Okay.
anywhere. And it's completely free.
Really?
It's called talking to yourself.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Like full-on conversations with myself in the mirror.
Exactly.
Okay.
It might sound a little strange at first,
Yeah.
but trust me, it works wonders.
Okay.
Think of it this way. When you talk to yourself, you're not worried about making mistakes or sounding silly.
Right.
You're free to experiment, to try out different words and phrases, and to build your confidence.
So I can be my own personal English tutor.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what are some things I could practice saying to myself?
You can start with really simple things.
Okay.
Describe what you're doing, like, I'm making breakfast, I'm getting dressed.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself questions like, what should I do today?
Mm.
Where should I go? You can even pretend to have conversations with other people.
Wow.
Just get those words flowing.
So it's like a dress rehearsal for real-life conversations.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
And the best part is I can't really mess it up.
Yeah.
Because there's no one to judge me.
Exactly. And you know what?
Right.
Even if you do make mistakes, that's totally fine.
It is.
Mistakes are actually a really important part of learning.
Okay.
They help you identify areas where you need to improve.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get so caught up in trying to be perfect
Right.
that I forget that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah,
It's all part of the process.
absolutely. And, speaking of making mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best ways to get over that fear is to find a language partner or join a language exchange group.
That sounds a little scary.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense. Talking to another person would really push me to actually use the language in a real-world setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything formal.
Oh.
You can find someone online, or maybe you have a friend or family member who is also learning English.
Oh, okay.
Just start with simple conversations, ask each other questions, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we've talked about subtitles, music, talking to myself, and finding a language partner.
Right.
What else can I do to create that immersive English environment?
Well, have you ever thought about turning your home into a giant vocabulary builder?
A giant vocabulary builder. What do you mean by that?
I'm talking about sticky notes, my friend.
Sticky notes.
Okay, sticky notes are your secret weapon for learning English at home.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these sticky note superpowers.
It's simple. Really, just grab a stack of sticky notes and start labeling things around your house with their English names.
Okay.
The fridge, the door, the table, the chair, everything gets a label.
So I'm basically turning my entire house into a giant English dictionary.
Exactly.
I like it.
And here's why this works so well. Every time you walk past one of those labels,
Yeah.
you're getting a quick reminder of the English word for that object.
Oh, okay.
It's like passive vocabulary building without even trying.
That's genius.
Yeah.
And the best part is it's super easy to do. I could even get my family involved.
Absolutely.
We could all learn together.
Yeah, you can even take it a step further and write short sentences on the sticky notes.
Okay.
For example, instead of just labeling the fridge, you could write, "This is a big fridge."
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
It helps me see how the words are used in context.
exactly.
Okay, so I'm sold on the sticky notes.
Okay.
What other fun and easy tips do you have for me?
Well, have you ever considered using apps or online games to learn English?
I've heard of those, but I've never actually tried any. Are they any good?
There are some truly amazing apps and games out there that make learning English fun and engaging.
Really?
They use interactive exercises, games, and quizzes
Okay.
to help you learn new words, practice grammar, and improve your pronunciation.
So it's like having a mini English tutor right in my pocket.
Exactly. And many of these apps are free or very affordable, making them accessible to everyone.
That's great. Do you have any specific apps or games you recommend?
There are tons of great options out there. But a couple of popular ones to start with are Duolingo and Memrise.
Okay.
They're both free and have a wide variety of activities to keep you entertained while you learn.
Cool. I'm definitely going to check those out.
Awesome. And hey, don't forget about the classic word games like Scrabble and crosswords.
Yeah.
They're fantastic for expanding your vocabulary and having fun at the same time.
Those are great suggestions.
Mm,
I love how all of these tips make learning English feel less like a chore
yeah.
and more like a fun activity.
That's the key, right? When you enjoy the learning process, you're more likely to stick with it and see real progress.
I couldn't agree more.
Welcome back to our deep dive into making English learning fun and easy.
We've covered some really cool stuff so far, like using subtitles and music to your advantage, and even turning your home into a vocabulary playground with sticky notes.
And remember, talking to yourself in English can actually be a really effective way to practice. Don't be shy, give it a try.
I'm definitely going to try that one. I think it could be a fun way to warm up my English muscles before I dive into a conversation with someone else.
That's a great point. It's like a mental rehearsal for real-life interactions. And speaking of interacting with others, let's talk more about finding a language partner.
You mentioned language exchange groups earlier. Can you tell me more about how those work?
Sure. A language exchange is basically a partnership where two people who are learning each other's native languages help each other practice. So you might spend some time speaking English with your partner and then switch to their language for another part of the conversation.
That sounds like a win-win situation. I get to practice my English and I get to help someone else learn my language. Where can I find these language exchange partners?
There are tons of websites and apps specifically designed for finding language exchange partners. Some popular ones include HelloTalk, Tandem, and Conversation Exchange. You can create a profile, search for partners based on your interests and language goals, and then start chatting.
That's amazing. I had no idea. It was so easy to connect with people from all over the world who are also learning languages.
It's a fantastic way to not only improve your language skills, but also to learn about different cultures and make new friends.
I love that. Speaking of connecting with people, I've always wondered about the best way to approach reading in English. It can feel a bit overwhelming when I first start.
Reading is definitely a key skill to master, and it doesn't have to be daunting. A great starting point is to choose materials that are enjoyable and match your current level. Don't feel pressured to dive into complex novels right away.
So what kind of materials would you suggest for someone just starting out?
Children's books are a great option. They use simple language, fun stories, and often have lots of pictures to help you understand the context. Comic books are another fantastic choice because they combine visuals with dialogue, making it easier to follow along.
That makes sense. I hadn't thought about comic books before, but they could be a fun way to ease into reading. What about something a bit longer, like articles or short stories?
Those are great next steps. You can find websites and apps that offer simplified news articles or graded readers, which are books specifically written for English language learners. And here's a pro tip. Don't worry about understanding every single word. Focus on grasping the main idea and look up unfamiliar words only if they seem really important to the overall meaning.
That's a relief. Sometimes I get bogged down in trying to translate every single word, and it makes reading feel like a chore.
I totally get it. Remember, the goal is to enjoy the process and gradually build your comprehension skills.
I like that approach. It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And as you get more comfortable with reading, you can start tackling more challenging materials. You'll be surprised how quickly you start seeing improvements in your vocabulary and grammar.
Speaking of grammar, I know it's important, but sometimes it feels like the more difficult part of learning English. Do you have any tips for making grammar a bit less intimidating?
Grammar can definitely be tricky, but there are ways to make it less overwhelming. First, remember that you don't need to memorize every single grammar rule right away. Focus on the most common and essential ones and gradually build from there.
That sounds much more manageable. What are some good resources for learning basic English grammar?
There are tons of excellent resources out there. Websites like Grammarly and English Central offer clear explanations and interactive exercises. You can also find grammar books specifically designed for English language learners at different levels. And don't forget about the power of practice. The more you use English, the more naturally those grammar rules will start to click.
Practice really does make a difference. But sometimes it can be hard to stay motivated, especially when I hit a roadblock or feel like I'm not making progress. Do you have any advice for staying on track with my language learning journey?
Motivation is key, and it's totally normal to have ups and downs. The important thing is to have strategies in place for those moments when you feel discouraged.
So, what kind of strategies can I use to keep that motivation going strong?
One powerful technique is to set realistic and achievable goals. Instead of aiming for fluency right away, break down your learning journey into smaller, more manageable steps.
That makes sense. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed when I think about everything I need to learn, but focusing on smaller goals could help me stay more focused and motivated.
Exactly. And remember to celebrate your achievements along the way, no matter how small they may seem. Each step forward is a victory worth recognizing.
I love that celebrating my progress could definitely help me stay positive and motivated.
And sometimes the best way to reignite your passion for learning English is to simply remind yourself why you started this journey in the first place.
That's a really good point. Sometimes I get so caught up in the day-to-day learning process that I forget about the bigger picture.
Think about the doors that English can open for you. The opportunity to connect with people from all over the world, to travel to new places, to experience different cultures, to expand your career opportunities, and to simply enjoy a wider range of books, movies, and music.
Wow, when you put it that way, it's incredibly inspiring. English really is a powerful tool for connecting with the world.
Absolutely. So keep that bigger picture in mind and let it fuel your motivation to keep learning and growing.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I
Mhm.
feel like I have a whole new toolkit of strategies to use on my English learning journey.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, we have even more tips and insights coming your way in the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. I'm ready for more.
Me too. Let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about a ton of different strategies already, from watching movies with subtitles to using sticky notes to create like a vocabulary wonderland in your home.
Right, right. And we've also explored connecting with other people and finding a language exchange partner
Mm,
or joining a group of fellow learners.
that's right. So, as we wrap things up, what are some of the key takeaways that you really want our listeners to remember as they continue on their English learning journey?
Hmm. Well, first and foremost, remember that learning a new language is a process and not a race.
Okay,
Be kind to yourself, celebrate those small wins, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
great.
Mistakes are actually really valuable learning opportunities in disguise.
It's true. Sometimes I get so focused on reaching the end goal
Hmm.
that I forget to just like appreciate the journey itself.
Exactly. And each step of the way, you're gaining new skills and expanding your understanding of the world.
That's a good quote.
It's a really enriching experience.
It is, yeah.
Another thing that we've touched on is the importance of finding what works best for you.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to language learning.
That's true.
Experiment with different methods, explore different resources, and pay attention to what resonates with your learning style and your interests.
I think it's also really important to try to personalize your learning experience
Yeah.
by connecting it to things that you're already passionate about.
Exactly. If you love music, use songs to learn new vocabulary and practice pronunciation. If you're a movie buff, watch films in English with subtitles.
Yeah, by incorporating English into activities you already enjoy, you'll make that learning process more fun, more engaging, and you're going to be way more likely to stick with it.
So true. And speaking of sticking with it,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked a lot about motivation and how important it is to stay inspired throughout this journey.
It's key.
What are some final tips that you can share for keeping that motivation burning bright?
Okay, well, one powerful strategy is to visualize your goals.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine yourself confidently speaking English
Okay.
in situations that matter most to you,
Mm.
whether it's traveling to a new country, having a conversation with a friend, or even advancing in your career.
I love that visualizing success can be so motivating.
It can.
It really helps you see the possibilities that open up
Right.
when you master a new language.
Exactly. Another tip is to create a supportive learning environment for yourself.
Oh, good idea.
Surround yourself with people who encourage you.
Okay.
Seek out online communities of other language learners
Hmm.
and find resources that just make learning fun and engaging.
That's such great advice. Learning a language doesn't have to be a solitary endeavor.
Right.
Connecting with other people who share your goals
Yeah.
can provide a really great sense of camaraderie and accountability.
It's true. It's always good to have someone to practice with.
Exactly.
And finally, remember that learning English is an ongoing journey and not a destination.
So true.
There will always be more to learn and discover, so embrace that process of continuous growth and improvement.
That's a great note to end on.
It is. Embrace the journey, celebrate your progress, and never stop exploring the world of English.
Well said. I think that's a wrap for us today.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it informative and inspiring.
And if you're enjoying these deep dives, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.
Until next time, happy learning, everyone. Talk.
Oh, fun.
It's especially for those of you learning English. We'll be uncovering some really simple phrases to help you feel confident in those quick chats, like when you meet someone new
Mm-hmm.
or you're just trying to make conversation.
Exactly.
And before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives like this one. So this script is really cool. It breaks down small talk into 5 steps,
Okay.
like building blocks.
I like that.
And the first one is greetings.
Ah, the all-important first impression.
Right.
Like just a simple, hi, nice to meet you,
Sure.
or a hello, how are you?
It can go a long way.
It's funny, even native English speakers sometimes get nervous about those basic greetings.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I guess we all do.
It's human nature.
But the more you practice, the easier it gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this script gives us some examples of how those greetings can sound natural.
Okay, perfect.
So let's say we're meeting for the first time,
Okay. I could say, hi, I'm Ella, nice to meet you.
and I could say, hi, Ella. I'm Alex. Nice to meet you, too.
See? Easy.
Totally.
Short, sweet, and effective.
I like
And here's a tip from the script.
Go ahead.
Don't forget to smile.
Oh, yeah.
A smile can make you feel more relaxed.
It makes you more approachable, too.
Exactly.
A smile's like its own language.
It really is.
Okay, so we've covered greetings. What's next?
Well, the script takes us to talking about the weather.
Ah, the classic conversation starter.
It might seem a bit cliche, but it works
It does.
because everyone experiences the weather.
Yeah.
It's something we all have in common.
And the script gives us some easy phrases
Huh?
like,
It's a beautiful day today, isn't it?
oh, yeah.
Or, wow, it's really cold out here.
I like that one.
And the script doesn't just give us one phrase for each type of weather.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
So, like, if it's raining,
You could say, I hope this rain stops soon,
Yeah.
or it looks like it's going to rain all day.
so we have options.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's like having a small talk toolkit.
I love that.
The more tools you have, the more confident you'll feel.
That's so true. All right, so we've mastered greetings and weather talk. feeling good. But wait, there's more.
Oh, there's always more.
This script is full of good stuff.
It encourages us to go a little deeper
Ooh, deep.
by asking about work or school.
Okay, I'm listening.
So instead of just asking, what do you do?
Which can be a little bit blunt.
Yeah, a little bit. You could say, so what do you do for work?
Well,
Or what kind of work do you do?
I like that.
It sounds more friendly.
It does?
And if you're talking to a student, you could ask, what are you studying?
Yeah.
Or what's your major?
And the script reminds us to listen. Like,
Yeah.
really listen to their answer.
Oh, yeah, active listening.
And ask follow-up questions
Yeah.
to show you're interested.
Right. So if someone says they're a doctor, you could ask, what kind of medicine do you practice?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or where do you work?
Those little details. That can make the conversation more interesting. Yeah. And don't forget, we can share about ourselves, too.
Yes, good point.
It's all about finding that balance. Okay, let's quickly recap those key phrases. For work or school we have, what kind of work do you do? What are you studying? And even if you're just starting to learn English, these simple questions can help you have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Practice makes perfect.
Are you ready for the next step?
Bring it on.
Host! Welcome back to our deep dive all about small talk.
So good to be back.
You know, I was thinking about what we talked about in the first part.
About greetings
Yeah.
and those weather phrases.
Yeah, breaking the ice.
Exactly.
You know, small talk is more than just exchanging words.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's about making a connection, showing that you're interested in the other person,
I see.
making them feel comfortable.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You don't want to sound like a robot,
You're right.
just repeating phrases.
Yeah.
So the script talks a lot about active listening and responding in a way that shows you are engaged.
So how you say things
Mm-hmm.
and how you react.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's where those open-ended questions come in.
Yes.
Like, what kind of work do you do?
Yeah.
Or what are you studying?
Those are good ones, but we can go even further.
Oh, even further.
What are some things that people like to talk about?
Let me think. I'd say most people love talking about their hobbies.
Exactly. The script has a whole section about hobbies.
Okay, so how do we transition to that?
Well, you could say something like, what do you like to do in your free time?
Okay.
Or do you have any hobbies?
Easy enough. I think even beginners could remember that.
I think so too. And this is where the conversation can get really fun.
Oh, fun. How so?
Well, the script encourages us to not only ask about their hobbies, but to share our own.
Ah, so we can find something in common.
Exactly. Build a connection.
Okay, I like it.
So let's say someone says they like to play guitar.
Okay. I could say, oh, that's cool. I love music, but I've never played an instrument.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you play?
See, you've shown interest. And you've opened up the conversation.
And maybe we'll find out we have similar music tastes.
Yeah, never know.
That's why I love small talk.
Yeah.
You just never know where it will lead.
It's an adventure.
It is.
Okay, before we move on, let's recap those phrases for talking about hobbies.
Okay, so we have, what do you like to do in your free time?
Uh-huh.
And do you have any hobbies?
And don't forget to share your own hobbies, too.
Good point. It goes both ways.
Now, are you ready to learn how to say goodbye?
The art of saying goodbye.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so we've talked about greetings and weather and work and school and hobbies.
A lot of ground covered.
We have.
And now, it's time for goodbyes.
Ah, yes, the art of wrapping things up. What does the script say about that?
Well, it says keep it simple and sincere.
So no need to overthink it.
Nope. A simple, it was nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Or have a great day.
I like those.
They work.
They do.
They sound friendly and sincere.
Exactly.
The script also mentions things like see you later or take care.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you think you'll see them again.
Good point.
It's all about choosing what feels right.
I agree.
And just like with greetings,
Uh-huh.
a smile and eye contact can go a long way.
They can. Okay, so we've covered all 5 steps of small talk.
We have.
Greetings, whether work or school hobbies, and goodbyes.
But it's more than just the phrases. It's about making those connections,
Oh, glad you said that.
making people feel comfortable,
And being present.
and practicing. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
So true.
The script actually ends with a question.
Oh, a question.
Yeah, it asks, how can you adapt these phrases for different situations?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Like
Yeah.
talking to a coworker
Yeah.
is different from talking to someone at a party.
Right, so I guess you'd be more professional in one situation
Yeah,
and more relaxed in the other.
exactly.
This has been such a helpful deep dive.
It really
I
has.
feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
And, it's amazing how those small conversations
Yeah.
can really lead to something more.
I hope our listeners feel ready to go out and practice.
Yes, go practice your small talk.
And remember to subscribe for more deep dives.
Until next time.
Happy chatting, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. We're diving deep into some tips today, especially for those of you just starting out with English. So hit that subscribe button if you're ready to level up your English skills.
Yeah, and I'm here to kind of help break down those tips and how you can use them every single day.
Awesome. Okay, so the first tip is to start small.
Right.
It sounds super simple, right?
Right.
But this script we're looking at really makes it clear that speaking English every day is key, even if it's just a sentence or two.
Yeah, and the cool thing is they use examples that are like, how are you? Or the weather is nice today. I mean, those seem super basic, but they get at a really important point. You don't need to start with these big, complex sentences.
Yeah,
Just getting those sounds out regularly is a huge step.
totally. And you know what I actually remember when I was learning language?
Uh-huh.
I used to actually talk to myself in the mirror
Oh, wow.
using simple phrases like that. And it felt kind of silly at first,
Yeah.
but it really helped me get comfortable.
Exactly. And the script even calls this like micro practice, just fitting these little bits of English into your day instead of trying to cram in hours of study.
Right.
They even suggest stuff like talking to yourself while you're cooking dinner, like saying, I'm making dinner out loud.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like turning your everyday stuff into these mini language lessons.
Right.
Without even thinking about it.
Exactly.
And talking about making English a part of your day, the script mentions singing along to English songs.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. They suggest songs like Imagine by John Lennon and Shake It Off by Taylor Swift.
Oh, nice.
And it's like a fun way to pick up pronunciation and rhythm without even feeling like you're studying,
It's funny because I used to sing along to English song and totally butcher the lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, it was a good laugh and I definitely learned some new words.
That's the spirit. It really touches on another important point that the source makes, which is don't be afraid to make mistakes. They even use the funny example, I go to the store.
Uh-huh.
Right, we've all been there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we've all had some pretty hilarious grammar mistakes when learning a new language.
Totally.
But the script makes it really clear that making mistakes is just a natural part of learning.
Absolutely. They even gave an example about saying, I go to the store instead of, I went to the store.
Right.
And, you might laugh, but that's actually a sign of your brain trying to figure out English grammar. It's not a failure, it's a step in the right direction.
That's such a great point. Our brains are just constantly trying to make these connections and learning from these slip-ups.
Absolutely.
So instead of getting discouraged, we should see those mistakes as opportunities to actually learn and grow.
For sure. Think of it this way. Every time you correct a mistake, you're one step closer to being fluent.
I love that.
Yeah.
And to make things even easier when you're just starting out, the script suggests sticking with simple words.
Yeah.
And they give examples like good, bad, happy, and sad.
Yeah. This is a really smart way to go about it because it helps you build that foundation. Imagine trying to build a house without a strong base.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't work right.
Right.
It's the same thing with language. Simple words, that's your foundation, and you can build more complex sentences from there.
It's a great analogy. Okay, so to recap for everyone listening, we talked about starting small, making it a habit, and seeing mistakes as chances to learn, and building a strong base with easy words.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all really good tips for anyone who wants to feel more confident speaking English.
For sure. And building on that strong foundation idea, the script also talks about finding a speaking partner.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. Like, having someone to practice with can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
And they even give you different options, like finding a friend, getting a tutor, using a language exchange app, or even joining an online community.
And what's really cool is how the source breaks down the pros and cons of each one. So like a tutor, can give you that structured learning, but a language exchange partner that gives you a chance to learn from each other
Yeah,
and experience different cultures too.
right.
And then online communities, those can be a bit more casual,
Yeah.
just to practice and connect with other people learning too.
Yeah, and I remember when I was learning language, I actually had a language exchange partner,
Oh, wow. That's great.
and it was amazing. Like, I got to learn about their culture while I was also working on my speaking skills.
That's awesome.
And sometimes we'd even make funny mistakes together, which always made for a good laugh.
Right. It just makes the whole learning process more enjoyable and, and less scary.
Yeah.
And speaking of real world practice, the script also suggests learning some key phrases that
Uh-huh.
you can use every day.
Oh, like, can you help me? Or, excuse me, where's the bathroom?
Exactly. Those are so important to know.
Oh, sure.
So think about your everyday life. What are some common situations where knowing a few phrases would be super helpful? Like maybe ordering coffee, asking for directions, or even just introducing yourself at a party.
Yeah, and I remember when I first traveled to country,
Uh-huh.
I learned a few basic phrases like, hello, thank you, and how much does this cost? And it
Yeah.
made a huge difference.
Totally. It's like having a toolbox full of those essential phrases that you can use right away.
Yeah,
And as you learn more, you can keep adding more tools to that toolbox
right.
and handle even more situations.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's like building up your confidence and fluency over time. And speaking of confidence, the source really emphasizes being patient and enjoying the language learning journey. They remind us that it's a process and it's okay to go at your own pace.
Yeah, and I think what's really key here is to have a positive attitude. I mean, language learning can be tough sometimes,
Uh-huh.
but it's so important to celebrate those small wins along the way.
Totally. Sometimes I think we get so focused on the end goal that we forget to appreciate the progress we're making. Like
Yeah.
remembering a new word or understanding someone speaking their native language. Those are all wins.
Absolutely. And that actually connects perfectly to the source's final tip, which is to celebrate small
Oh,
wins.
nice.
Even if you just learned one new phrase today, that's still progress. It's like taking a small step on a long hike.
Hmm.
You might not be at the top of the mountain yet,
Right.
but you're moving in the right direction.
And those small steps eventually lead to those big achievements.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up, we covered some fantastic tips from the English How To and Tips podcast today. Starting small when, practicing, often embracing those mistakes, finding a speaking partner, learning those key phrases, and most importantly, remembering to celebrate those small wins along the way.
For sure. And hopefully you got some really helpful insights from this deep dive today. And remember, learning a new language, it's a journey, not a race. Just be patient with yourself, enjoy the process, and don't forget to celebrate every step of the way.
So before we go, I'd
Yeah.
love to hear what really stood out to you today. What's one thing you're going to try out on your own English learning journey?
Maybe it's adding in that micro practice to your day,
Hmm.
finding a language exchange partner,
Yeah.
or just taking a moment to really appreciate how far you've come.
Totally. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive and these tips are helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check out some of our other episodes.
Yeah, we have tons of great deep dives waiting for you.
We're always looking for new ways to help you learn and grow, so stay tuned.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into better English speaking.
Yeah.
And until next time, happy learning.
Happy learning.
It's amazing how, even those small things, When you do them regularly, can really make a difference. Kind of like those tiny drops of water that eventually make a canyon.
Wow, yeah.
Your efforts every day, even if they seem small, they're going to shape how fluent you become.
That's a great way to put it. And it reminds me of that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
Fluency, just like anything else worth having, takes time and effort.
And the cool thing is there are so many fun ways to learn English. Watching movies, listening to music, reading books, or even connecting with people from all over the world.
And speaking of connecting with people, don't forget to share this deep dive with your friends who are learning English too.
Oh, yeah,
Learning together can make it even more fun and interesting.
totally. Learning a new language is an adventure, and it's always more fun to share adventures with friends. So spread the word, spread the joy of learning, and you never know, you might just inspire someone to start their own journey to fluency.
That's what it's all about, right? Helping each other reach our full potential.
Well said. Thanks again for joining us on this deep dive into better English speaking. We covered so much today, and I really hope you're feeling motivated and have a bunch of practical tucks to use.
Remember that the journey to fluency, it starts with just one step. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself.
Until next time, happy learning.
Happy learning.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you enjoy these deep dives, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. We're diving into a really interesting idea today, learning English like a baby. Our source material today is this podcast script called Learn English Like Babies.
Hi, everyone.
It might sound a little strange at first, but
Yeah, it does sound strange.
stick with us.
But it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Babies learn languages without needing any flashcards or grammar books. They just kind of pick it up, naturally.
That's so true. I remember watching my niece learn how to talk, and it was amazing. She just absorbed all these new words and phrases like it was nothing, effortlessly.
That's because babies' brains are built for learning languages in a way that our adult brains just aren't. They're like little sponges just soaking up all the language they hear.
Okay, so how can we as adults tap into that baby-like ability?
Yeah.
This podcast script actually lays out some really simple techniques. It all starts with forgetting about the idea that we need to memorize vocabulary lists and learn all the grammar rules.
Yeah, instead, the script wants us to try to mimic how babies learn by focusing on immersion and repetition and play.
And the first step might seem really obvious, but it's listen and repeat. The script actually starts with the most basic words like mommy, daddy, hello, words that a baby would hear constantly.
I mean, you might be thinking repeating simple words, that's too easy.
Yeah.
But that's where things get interesting. Repetition, it isn't just about memorizing the words themselves. It's about training your brain to be able to recognize and make the sounds of the language.
Yeah, it's like building muscle memory, but for your ears and your mouth. So the more you repeat all those sounds, the easier it'll be to understand and speak them.
Exactly. The script even suggests repeating those words all throughout the day, like when you're cooking or walking the dog or whatever. The key is to try and make it a part of your daily routine.
And it's not just about single words. It also moves on to phrases like, I am happy, or I want water. These are essential phrases for everyday communication.
And that's where step 2 comes in. Focusing on everyday words. Think about the words you use most in your native language. Those are the words that you need to learn in English first.
Because those are the words that will actually allow you to start having real conversations, even if they're simple conversations at first.
Yeah, it's like building a foundation for a house, right? You got to start with that basic structure before you start adding all the fancy details. Speaking of details, let's go on to the third step, which is all about adding some fun into the mix.
I love this part. The script calls it copy and play. And it's about making language come alive through context and visualization.
They actually have this really cool scenario in the script where they pretend to be at a park and they're describing what they see, like the bird is flying or the children are playing.
And it's not just about saying the words. It's about actually imagining the scene and picturing like the bird flying through the air or the kids laughing on the swings.
Yeah, exactly. This helps to create a stronger connection between the words and what they mean, making them easier to remember. It's like watching a movie in your head, but the movie is helping you learn English.
And this is where things get really interesting because the script wants you, the listener, to start making your own scenarios. Think about all the places you go every day, all the things you see, and all the things you do. Then just try describing them in English like you're narrating your own life.
And don't worry about making mistakes. Remember, babies don't learn everything perfectly right away. They babble and mispronounce words. That's all part of the process.
The important thing is to just keep practicing, keep playing with the language, and most importantly, have fun. So we've been talking about this idea of learning English just like a baby and how we can use these simple techniques to actually make some progress.
Yeah, one of the things that's really stood out to me about this approach is how it uses our natural curiosity and that desire to explore the world around us.
Absolutely. It's like turning your everyday life into this like language learning adventure.
Exactly. And the script actually gives some specific examples of how to do this.
Like that park scenario that we talked about earlier.
Right. Remember how they described like seeing a bird flying or the children playing? That's such a good way to start using everyday vocabulary and simple sentences.
And the best part is you could do this anywhere, not just at the park.
Yeah, you could describe what you see when you're walking down the street or riding the bus, even when you're just sitting in your living room.
It's about training your brain to think in English, even for the most like normal everyday things.
And as you get more comfortable, you can start adding more details to your descriptions.
Like instead of just saying the car is red, you could say the shiny red car is driving down the busy street.
Exactly. You're slowly building complexity and learning new words without even realizing it.
It's like those building blocks we talked about before. Each new word or phrase you learn makes that structure stronger.
And as you practice this, you'll start to notice patterns in the language.
Like how verbs change depending on the subject, or how to use prepositions to describe location.
It's all about immersion and observation, just like a baby learning their very first language.
And the script really emphasizes not getting bogged down in grammar rules at this point.
Yeah, it's more about getting a feel for the language first, like an intuitive understanding of how it works.
And that comes from being exposed to the language over and over again and actively using it, not just from memorizing rules in a textbook.
Exactly. It wants us to play with the language, to experiment with different sounds and words, to make mistakes and then learn from them.
That's how you become fluent and confident.
And as you keep going, you can try other techniques like reading children's books or listening to podcasts for English learners.
But the foundation is always going to be that baby-like approach, listening and repeating and playing and exploring.
Because when you take away all the complicated stuff and the pressure of the traditional ways of learning a language,
You can tap into this way more natural and intuitive way of learning.
and that's where the magic happens.
So what are some ways that our listeners can actually apply these principles to their own language learning?
Well, the script says to start small. Just focus on one technique at a time.
Like if you're having trouble with pronunciation, you could spend a week just listening to and repeating those basic words and phrases.
Or if you want to learn more words, you could try to describe everything you see in your day using simple English sentences.
And don't be afraid to get creative.
You could even make a game out of it with friends or family.
Like a describe the object game where you take turns describing something in the room using only English.
The key is to make it fun and interesting so that you actually want to keep practicing.
And remember, consistency is key.
Just like a baby is always learning and growing,
We need to make learning English a regular part of our lives.
even if it's just for a few minutes every day.
Those small steps really add up.
And before you know it, you'll be amazed at how much progress you've made.
So are you ready to unlock your inner language learner and start speaking English confidently?
We'll be back in a bit to share some final thoughts and ideas on this exciting journey.
We've been talking about all these really cool ideas about how to learn English. like how we can learn it better by copying how babies do it.
Yeah, we've seen how these simple techniques like listening and repeating and playing can really help us learn a language.
It's all about changing the way we think, right? Like going back to when we were kids and everything was new and interesting.
Absolutely. But I think the most important thing I've learned is that it doesn't have to be super complicated.
That's so true. Sometimes we think that to learn a new language, we need to buy expensive software or learn all these complicated grammar rules or spend hours and hours studying.
But this script is saying that we already have the best tool we need, our brains. We just need to figure out how to use them the right way.
And the coolest part is that it can fit into our everyday lives so easily.
Exactly. It's about finding those small moments in your day, like when you're on the bus or eating lunch or even doing chores. You can use that time to practice your English.
And one thing the script really focuses on is creating this immersive environment for yourself. I know that might sound hard, but it doesn't mean you have to move to an English-speaking country.
Right. It could be as simple as changing the language on your phone or watching movies with English subtitles.
You could even just listen to English music while you're working or cooking. It's all about surrounding yourself with the sounds of English as much as you can.
And don't think that those little things don't matter. Over time, they can really change how your brain works and make you more aware of how English sounds and flows.
Before we finish up, I wanted to mention one more thing from the script. It talks about how important it is to celebrate those little wins.
Oh, yeah. We forget to do that sometimes when we're learning a new language. We focus on the mistakes we make or how much we still have to learn.
But we need to remember to celebrate those moments where we make progress, even if they seem small.
Like maybe you finally learn how to say a really difficult word, or you had a short conversation in English. Those are big wins. Be proud of yourself.
Because those little victories are what keep us going. They show us that we can actually do this.
And just like a baby learning to walk, they're going to fall down a few times before they can walk properly. You're going to make mistakes along the way.
It's just part of learning. Learn from those mistakes and keep going.
And most importantly, have fun. Remember that feeling of excitement and wonder you had when you were a kid and learning about the world for the first time. Try to bring that same feeling to learning English.
So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to give you a little challenge. What's one small thing you can do today to start using these ideas to learn English?
Maybe it's just repeating a few phrases throughout the day, or listening to an English podcast on your way to work.
Whatever it is, start small and keep doing it. And most importantly, don't be afraid to have fun and play with the language. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey everybody, and welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at some cool English words that are really going to help you sound more confident and fluent in your everyday conversations. Now, we're using this great podcast called English How-To and Tips as our guide, and specifically an episode called 10 Words to Boost Your English.
I like it.
So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all of our awesome deep dives like this one.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, it's amazing how much power these simple words have, right? They're like the foundation of any language. Once you master them, you can build anything.
Exactly. It's like having the right tools for the job.
Yeah.
And the best part is we're talking about words that you can start using right away. You don't have to wait until you're an English expert.
Right. These words are for everyone, whether you're just starting out or you've been learning English for a while.
Totally.
Oh,
Okay, so let's just jump right in. The first two words on our list are all about greetings.
okay.
Hello and goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
You probably already know these. But have you thought about how important they are for making a good impression?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. You know, think of hello as a friendly handshake. It's a way to open a conversation and show that you're happy to be talking to someone.
Yeah, and goodbye is like closing the door gently after you leave a room. It's polite and shows that you respect the other person's time.
Exactly. And don't forget, you can use different versions of hello and goodbye depending on the situation.
Oh,
Like hi and bye are great for informal settings, while good morning and good evening are more formal.
oh, that's a good point. It's like choosing the right outfit for
Yeah,
different occasions.
exactly.
All right. Moving on to words number 3 and 4. Please and thank you. I think we can all agree that these are like magic words, right?
They really are. Please turns a demand into a request. It shows that you're considerate of the other person.
Yeah, it's like adding a little bit of sugar to your coffee. It just makes everything a bit sweeter.
Mm-hmm. And thank you is like a little gift you give to someone for doing something for you. It shows that you appreciate their effort.
And a little appreciation goes a long way. It makes everyone feel good.
Right.
All right, let's shift gears to some action.
Okay.
Words number 5 and 6 are go and come. These words are all about movement.
Yeah, go is used when someone moves away from the speaker, like I go to the store.
And come is used when someone moves toward the speaker,
Mm-hmm.
like come to my house.
Right. It's all about where the speaker is in relation to the action.
I see. And these words can be used for so many things, talking about your daily routine, making plans, giving directions. They're super versatile.
Absolutely. Now get ready to ask some questions, because up next are what and where.
Okay.
These are your go-to words for finding out information.
So what is used to ask about things like, what is your name? Or what is this?
And where is used to ask about places, like where is the library or where are you going?
So these words are like keys that unlock the mysteries of the world. You can use them to learn about anything and everything. Okay, we're almost done with our first 5 words. The last 2 are happy and sad,
Okay.
which are all about expressing your feelings.
It's so important to be able to tell people how you're feeling. Even if you're just starting to learn English, happy means you feel good, and sad means you feel bad.
Right, everyone feels happy and sad sometimes.
Yeah.
It's part of being human,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to express those feelings helps us connect with other people.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to use these words, even if you're not sure you're saying them perfectly.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people are kind of nervous about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered our first 5 words. That was a lot of information. But don't worry, we'll be back in part 2 to dive even deeper. Into each of them,
Yeah.
we'll talk about some common mistakes to avoid and even some fun ways to practice using these words in your everyday life.
I like it.
So we'll be right back after a short break.
Sounds good.
Don't go anywhere.
Hashtag deep dive episode part 2 of 3. Welcome back to the deep dive.
I'm so excited to keep exploring these simple yet powerful English words with you.
Me too.
I think we've already covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to discover.
Yeah.
Let's start by revisiting those friendly greetings. Hello and goodbye.
You know, even though these words seem basic, there are some nuances to using them correctly. For instance, hello is usually used in informal situations like when you're talking to friends or family.
Right, like you wouldn't say hello to the Queen of England, would you?
Probably not. In more formal situations, you'd want to use something like good morning or good evening. It shows respect and awareness of social customs.
I see. So it's all about reading the room
Mm.
and choosing the greeting that fits the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
What about goodbye? Are there any tricky situations to watch out for there?
Well, one common mistake is using goodbye when a more casual farewell would be better. Like if you're just running into a friend at the grocery store, a simple bye or see you later is more appropriate.
That makes sense. It's like wearing a suit to a pool party. It just doesn't quite fit.
Right.
Now let's talk about those politeness powerhouses. Please and thank you. These words can really make a difference in how people perceive you.
Absolutely. Using please shows that you respect the other person's time and effort. It softens your requests and makes them more likely to want to help you.
It's like saying, I value you and your willingness to help me. And thank you is all about expressing gratitude.
Exactly. It acknowledges the other person's actions and shows that you appreciate them. And don't be afraid to get creative with your thank yous. Instead of just saying thank you could say thanks a bunch or I really appreciate it.
Ooh, those are great. It's like adding a little extra sparkle to your words. Now let's get those legs moving and talk about go and come. These action words can be a little tricky for English learners because they depend on the speaker's perspective.
That's right. Go is used when the movement is away from the speaker. For example, I go to school every day.
And come is used when the movement is towards the speaker, like come sit with me.
Exactly. It can be confusing at first, but with practice, it'll become second nature. Imagine yourself giving directions to a friend. You could say, go straight ahead, then turn left. My house is the second one on the right. Come on in.
Yeah, I love that example. It really paints a picture in your mind. Okay, let's switch gears to those question words. What and where? These are like your trusty detective tools for getting information.
What is your go-to word for asking about things? Like, what is your favorite color? Or what are you doing this weekend?
And where is all about finding out locations, like
Ugh.
where is the nearest coffee shop?
Ah,
Or where did you put my keys?
these questions might seem simple, but they're essential for navigating the world around you. And as you get more comfortable with English, you can start building more complex questions using these words as a foundation.
It's like starting with a simple sketch and then adding more details to create a masterpiece. Now let's dive into the world of emotions with happy and sad. These words might seem basic, but they're incredibly powerful for connecting with others.
Being able to express your feelings is essential, even if you're just using simple words. Telling someone you're happy or sad can help them understand you better and build stronger relationships.
It's like opening a window into your heart and letting people see what's inside. And remember, it's okay to not feel happy all the time. Everyone experiences a range of emotions, and it's healthy to express them authentically.
Absolutely. And as your English skills grow, you can start using more descriptive words to express the nuances of your feelings. But happy and sad are great starting points for building your emotional vocabulary.
You know, we've covered so much in this deep dive, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
I agree.
There's so much more to explore with these 10 words. But I think it's important to remember that language learning is a journey, not a race. Just keep practicing and have fun with it.
Great advice. Hashtag TTS The Deep Dive episode 2025-0111, part 3 of 3.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. It's time to wrap up our exploration of these 10 simple but mighty English words that can really boost your conversational skills.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? From greetings to actions to emotions, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have, and I have to say, I'm really impressed with how much we've managed to unpack
Yeah.
with just 10 words. It just goes to show you that sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that these 10 words are just the beginning. They're the foundation for building a strong vocabulary and becoming a confident English speaker.
So true. It's like learning the alphabet before you can write a novel. You need those basic building blocks to create something amazing.
Exactly. And speaking of building, I'd love to give our listeners a little challenge to help them take these 10 words to the next level. Are you ready for it?
Oh, I love a good challenge.
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
I challenge you to take each of these words and brainstorm a list of synonyms or related words. For example, instead of just saying happy, you could say joyful, cheerful, or delighted.
That's a fantastic idea. It's like taking those basic colors and mixing them to create a whole rainbow of expressions.
Exactly. And as you explore those synonyms, you'll not only expand your vocabulary, but also deepen your understanding of the nuances of the English language.
It's like going from a black and white photo to a full color masterpiece. Suddenly everything is so much more vibrant and alive.
And remember, the best way to learn these new words is to actually use them in real conversations. Don't be afraid to experiment and make mistakes. That's how you'll really solidify your understanding.
Couldn't agree more. Mistakes are just proof that you're learning and growing, so embrace them and keep practicing.
Now, before we say goodbye for today, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Remember that learning a language is a journey, not a destination. There will always be new words to learn and new challenges to overcome. But with patience, persistence, and a positive attitude, you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
Beautifully said. And a huge thank you to our listeners for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the power of simple English words. We hope you've learned a lot and are feeling inspired to keep practicing and expanding your English skills.
And don't forget to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more insightful explorations just like this one. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic to dive into.
Until next time, happy learning.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.